13 years ago I traveled to America. That's when I met Richard. Friends and guides who will be an important part of my life. Richard is a Laotian who grew up in a refugee camp in Phetchabun before moving to America. He became my interpreter and guide in this unfamiliar land. It helped me overcome the challenges of a new place and a new language. One day, in 2011, Richard sent me a message, inviting me to join him on a hunting trip to his family's farm in Oregon. His father, a former Laos soldier who had fought alongside the United States during the Vietnam War, had bought a farm there. Hunting was a tradition for many American farmers, especially during the colder months of November and December, when the farming season waned. I packed up my gear and headed out, knowing that hunting season was upon us. During the last week of November or until today it has been 10 years since I traveled to Oregon. I met Uncle Bob. Richard's father, a man with many stories and wisdom. While we are settling down, Uncle Bob then told me about the surrounding forest. Where people disappear every year, their corpses are often covered in snow in winter. This year, our hunt would be different. Richard's father asked if I knew of the creature called Saming. I was startled, for I had heard tales of this beast in Thailand. Stories of a tiger possessed by a malevolent spirit, known for devouring humans. But I had never hunted anything so fierce before, usually sticking to deer or moose. Richard's father reassured me by saying that it was not the tiger we were looking for. But in my heart, I wondered what it might be, maybe a wolf, coyote, or even a mountain lion. But he did not give a clear answer. He said we had to hunt deer. But these deer were unlike any deer I had ever seen before. Richard's father. It tells of how the deer were starving during the harsh winter months. And sometimes they eat human remains hidden under the snow. Eating this horrible food, making them become more frightening and dangerous. As he shares these chilling stories, I can't help but think of similar stories from Thailand. There, it is said that stray cats turned into ghosts after eating dead people's toes during the plague. It is a belief that is deeply rooted in folklore. But it seems eerily related to a story Richard's father told. In America, hunting is a legal and regulated activity. They have licenses and quotas to maintain a balanced wildlife population. The forest here is vast and natural. And it is not uncommon for thousands of people to disappear each year. Of these, only a fraction has been discovered. Whether dead or alive, the rest usually disappear without a trace. Uncle Bob, Richard's father, bought a farm in Oregon after moving to the United States. As a former Laos soldier, who fought alongside the American Army during the Vietnam War. On Uncle Bob's farm, there is Jonathan, a native Indian who works there. During the winter there is no agricultural work. Therefore, it became a tradition for them to go hunting. That year, Rich invited me to join them on a hunting trip to a forest known as Wendigo Pass. The name intrigued me. In Thai, pass means a checkpoint or a path through difficult terrain. I had never heard of Wendigo before and assumed it must be a native term. Jonathan confirmed this, explaining that Wendigo was from the Huargangwan language, which translates to cannibalism or demon. Jonathan recounted the chilling legend of the Wendigo, a creature from the Khao Naha Indian beliefs. In the harsh winters of the north, when food was scarce, some resorted to eating human flesh, either scavenging the dead or, in desperation, killing others. Those who committed such acts were cursed to transform into Wendigos. Monstrous beings with elongated limbs, pale skin, and a relentless hunger for human flesh. While Jonathan spoke, I can't help but think of the Thai folk tale of a ghost cat that eats human corpses. This eerie similarity, adding to the uneasiness attached to our journey. Before going into the forest, we had to buy a hunting license from a forest ranger who was a friend of Uncle Bob. He introduced us about the peculiarities of the Wendigo Pass area, an old volcanic area. This mineral-rich soil can distort compass readings. As a result, travelers get lost. He also warns us, never use fire that you did not create yourself. A traveler has been reported missing. Found frozen to death next to a fire. Which turned out to be just an illusion, which is the dying act of the previous victim. Equipped with our permits and a mix of apprehension and excitement, we prepared for the hunt. We loaded our gear onto 2 ATVs, ready for the vast wilderness. The first night, we stayed at a forest hotel, setting out early the next morning. As we approached Wendigo Pass, dense fog enveloped the area. This slows down our progress. By the lake, we meet with search and rescue personnel. 60-70 people in total. Rich told me someone was missing. And the district chief advised us to wait until the search was finished. This is to avoid disturbing the path or scent desired by the sniffer dog. It was a time when we had nothing to do but talk to the officials. He sat there, eating a sandwich, and we approached him. Liz decided to try and ask him directly. "Brothers, have you noticed anything strange when he goes searching for missing people?" The official, in his usual manner, replied, "Most cases are explainable by science. You walk into the forest, get lost, and that's what he's looking for." He then recounted a peculiar incident. 2 people entered the forest. A person was driving an ATV along a narrow dirt path when a deer suddenly crossed the road. The driver was too close to prepare his cumbersome rifle. So he pulled out a pistol. Shooting a deer with a handgun is against the law. This is because bullets are large, travel slowly and often only injure deer. The deer didn't die from the first shot but jumped onto the side of the road. The driver was sure he had fired a bullet that hit the deer and then gave chase. But it's gone. This is why they don't allow people to hunt deer with handguns, the official explained. It's dangerous if you don't kill them in one shot. You might die yourself. Another story the official shared was about a man who went missing for 3 to 4 days. When they found him, he was lying dead by the side of the road, not far from a visible path that could have led him out of the forest. The rescue team, all volunteers, knew this was not a suicide despite what the in-charge officer suggested. The man's equipment was complete, and he had clearly been trying to survive. He had walked in circles, in a tight radius, until he ran out of food and firewood and froze to death. Rescuers suspect there's something more sinister, like a blindfolded ghost, where a person can't see a path or find a way out. Even if they are there. The forest, the official noted, often becomes silent when someone enters. Animals, sensing an intruder, quiet down. Normally, the sounds resume after a while, indicating the animals no longer see the person as a threat. But if the silence persists, it means something else has entered the forest. Some people who have gone missing report experiencing a strange form of sensory cut-off. They hear nothing, see only images without sounds, and everything gradually darkens, like a screen fading out. Only when rescued do they become fully aware again. The official speculated that supernatural forces might manipulate what a person sees, hears, or smells, blocking their senses entirely. After discussing these eerie events, the district officials allowed us to continue our journey. We were warned to follow safety rules and avoid reckless actions. So we got on an ATV and drove deep into the forest. With a sense of foreboding, we set out to hunt. Mixed with the whispers of the North American forests. This method is simple but effective. We stop, blow our whistles to lure the deer. And if nothing appears, we keep moving forward and searching. The first day was not very fortunate. We didn't see any deer from morning until evening. So we set up camp. We will use the method of gathering the branches together to form a tent. Then we crawled inside to sleep. This rough shelter would give us valuable time to respond. If a bear or mountain lion were prowling nearby and dismantle the woodpile before it could get to us. As the forest swallows its last light. Joe's voice broke the silence. He stomped his feet around the camp. Eyes wide complains that his bow is missing. He swears he left it leaning against a tree. But it's gone. We looked at each other in confusion. Question our memories. Suddenly, we saw a bough resting eerily on the base of a tree in the second level of the forest, which the light hardly touched at all. Joe swore he wouldn't move it. And we believed him. A feeling of uneasiness creeps in. By Uncle Bob's strict orders that don't go into the forest alone. Even the simplest of tasks always watching over each other. And when Uncle Bob walked out, he fired a shotgun into the woods. It is a warning to open the passage of the unknown. And took the bough and handed it to Joe. That night, Uncle Bob's warnings intensified. 2 of you, go to the tent, he ordered. The forest held secrets. And we feel the weight of it pressing in. I sense something lurking, testing us with the slightest experience. It's like the thousands of cases of missing people in the woods that are whispered in stories all over America.